Exercise 3 is clearly set forward in the handout which we provide you. Clearly, by that I mean, well, I understand every single word in there because I can read and write and understand English. However, when you put all these words together, there's a specific nuance to that. Therefore, I walk the customers through this exercise. Exercise 3, you're going to drive forward through this alley. These cones, once again, on the right side, that's an out of bounds. You're going to drive forward. For exercise 3, we're driving forward. Oh yeah, we're still driving forward. We're still driving forward. We're still driving forward. Don't hit the cones. When you're way up here, you're going to watch the trailer tires in the mirror. And at some point, you're going to steer to the left through this opening. In this case, we have a faded orange cone up here on my right and a blue cone back there on the left. This is where you steer to the left through this opening between the cones. Then you steer into the opposite lane, one lane over. You're steering to the left through the opening into the opposite lane. As here we have a cone and a whisker on the ground, plastic whisker. At the exam station, there will be a painted mark on the line. Trailer tire, passenger side on exercise 3 must go between the cone and the whisker. And then you do not stop here. You've not completed exercise 3. You're going to drive forward. Tim, could you look over my left shoulder, please? I'm right now kind of directly in front of the orange barrel, but there might be a cone at the exam station. And at the widest point, the steer tire, there's some variation, let's admit that, really doesn't need to be much wider than this barrel right here, or cone. If you go too far to the left, you're going to miss the gap between the cone and the whiskers. And if you don't come this wide, then you're going to hit the cone. But you don't stay straight here. You finish in the opposite lane. You're going to drive forward. The examiner may or may not tell you when to stop. However, in the CDL manual, it says you finish exercise 3 when your vehicle is parallel to the outer boundaries. Now, what the heck is that? These cones over here, you can shoot front, left, right. These cones are the outer boundary. The second part of when you complete exercise 3 is when the front part of the vehicle is prior to or at the cones at the far end of the exercise. If the front bumper is 5 or 7 or 10 feet away from these cones and barrels, and the truck is parallel to the outer boundary, but the trailer isn't perfectly parallel to the outer boundary, I think that's good enough. Do not go beyond this outer boundary. When you've completed exercise 3, park and brake out, shift to neutral, sound the horn. Okay, we're getting ready to do it. Exercise 3 of the forward offset. Okay. Once I push the red valve in, I might want to wait a second or two because then I got to resupply the trailer air tanks. I'm now going to drive forward exercise 3. I'm going to drive forward through the alley. There's cones on both sides of the vehicle. I'm going to steer to the left through the opening into the opposite lane. And then I'm going to make certain that my trailer tire goes between the cone and what we use whiskers on the ground, or at the exam station, there'll be a painted line on the ground. Here we go. I've now completed exercise 3. My vehicle is parallel to the outer boundary. I'm in the opposite lane, and I've stopped when the frontmost part of the vehicle is prior to or at the cones at the far end of the exercise. Now I'm going to pull the parking brake, shift to neutral, courtesy sound the city horn.